You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
So I have a very interesting topic that came to me this morning. I was going to let you in on it we do sometimes.
What would the fun in that be? It's better to blindside me. Here we go.
It's not too hard.
We know how well I think on my feet.
It's not too hard of a topic.
It's not too hard of a topic?
Meaning, it's not.
For you.
It's not one that's going to bring up, I'm just going to stop giving it caveats because it's probably going to do all of those things.
Probably going to do all those things. Especially warning. I'm day one here, so.
Day one of your cycle?
Yeah, I have my moon. I thought it was going to be yesterday, but it wasn't. It was a trick.
Oh, it's today?
Today's the day.
Are you sure it wasn't yesterday?
That was dangerous.
Playing with fire this episode. So I had a thought this morning because the past few days we have been... Our son had a goat that entered into the county fair here where we live. Or he entered the goat into the county fair where we live. There we go. The goat didn't do it on its own. The goat signed up and just walked itself over to the county fair. So we've been hanging out at the county fair for the last several days.
It's the whole process. They had to sign up through the FFA. It's raising this goat. It's this whole thing for school FFA that ends with the county fair.
Yeah. And the auctioning off of said goat. Anyways, that's not the part that I wanted to talk about. The fact that we were at the county fair for the last several days, which meant all the county fair food that we ate because we were there for hours on hours on hours, that really jacked up our body.
Yeah, we feel great.
I feel amazing. We made really healthy choices because turns out they have a lot of healthy food choices at the county fair, right?
In my defense, I thought I was making a healthy choice. I've got a caveat the fresh squeezed lemonade that was so good. Fresh squeezed lemonade, it's fruit. Come on,
oh my gosh.
Fresh squeeze. That was also mixed with
a cup of sugar, and
per ounce of fluid,
and then a little bit of sugar syrup flavoring.
Yeah,
on top of
it was like corn syrup with sugar.
Mm-hmm. With a little bit more corn syrup.
Amount, with a little bit more shaken up and a couple of lemons thrown in there. And I'm like, this is a healthy choice.
It was delicious.
This is fantastic.
So we drank all the lemonade and we ate the baked potatoes. And did we have any sweet stuff? I can't remember.
I think we were...
some muffins in there.
Oh, yeah. We ate a muffin for breakfast.
I had a couple of suckers because I had to buy suckers from kids that were being cute. It was just a long weekend of basically... eating because we were bored and there was nothing else to do other than enjoy the show. So this thought came to me this morning because we're paying the price today, right?
Oh, yeah.
Last night we were laying in bed, both of us just miserable, in excruciating pain and heartburn and potentially vomiting. And it was just...
and then joints joined the party and they're like, hey, we hurt really bad.
Yeah.
Inflammation.
The inflammation in the body and in the joints and everything like that. And I woke up this morning and I was thinking about it. I was sitting out in our hot tub.
Oh, the sweet. We topped it off with cookies at the end of the night.
Yes.
Because that's how you bring it home.
Well, of course.
Yeah, peanut butter cookies. And they were fantastic.
So good. Really healthy too. Sorry, I had to burp. Okay.
You do it.
So I'm sitting in our hot tub and I'm feeling how much pain my body's in. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about the conversation that potentially our son would have with me. This was all just in my head. He hasn't had this conversation with me, but this conversation that he would potentially have with me where it would be just don't eat that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's not that easy. And then it's he eats stuff too, right?
Yeah, he does. This make-believe conversation.
But it's
he's up there.
He's a teenager and he's like, Dad, it's simple. Just don't eat that stuff. And I'm like, okay. He eats. Unfortunately, we've passed on some of our really healthy eating habits to him. And his body just takes it so completely different.
Right.
Right. So completely different. Handles it in a completely different way. It's not to say in a really healthy way, but he handles it in a very different way. And over the course of my life, my body has handled food in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And this has been a unique thing in the past probably 4 or 5 years of really recognizing what sugar is the main culprit. Yeah. But there's also other things, right? And how they affect this physical body of mine. And it's immediate. It's eat it. 20 minutes later, you're like, wow, I can suddenly feel it. And then it just compounds over the next 24 hours. And then it usually takes about 2 days for it to completely dissipate and leave, right?
I've been in denial about sugar being the cause of heartburn. I was like, no, it's everything else. It's like, I just have it's not sugar. Sugar's my friend.
Couldn't be sugar.
Why? It couldn't be sugar. However, when it was like, I've made the connection. Sugar equals fire in the belly, and not the good fire in the belly, the kind that you're like,
yeah,
pain.
So I was thinking about this concept this morning and how food affects our bodies differently, and not just from person to person, but also for the individual person over the course of their life, right?
Yeah.
And that's all pretty well known, even though sometimes it's a lesson that we have to learn over and over and over again. But it's obviously it's a well-known fact, right? Your metabolism is different than my metabolism, so I can eat.
No, have you seen all those diet shows? And one size fits all. One size fits all. We just have to do like the same thing, eat the same thing, we'll all be fine.
Well, that's what people want to think.
Right?
Like how my body works and how my body consumes food or processes food is how I think everybody else should do it, right?
How solid are you on the knowing of how your body handles food and processes food?
Depends on the day. There's some days where
you're like, this is what I need. I'm like, that's not.
I'm totally.
Like, yes, it is.
Yeah. 16 cups of coffee. That's 100% what my body needs. And not only what it needs, but it's healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the underlying concept.
That was it?
No,
that's the underline.
I'm laying this out before you because this is my thought process
we're still
this
going.
morning.
I thought that was it. Okay.
Shit's not over yet.
We're still
talking
trying
about
to get
this?
like the sugar out of our system.
Okay, fine. Okay,
you
yes,
can tell
Craig.
it's like brain food. Clearly,
sugar. It affects us. Let me think about it some more.
I feel sharp.
Lemonade.
I am.
Strawberry lemonade.
You know what? That actually kind of makes me nauseous. We drank way too much strawberry lemonade.
You were the one that's like, let's finish this one really fast so that we can go
get
back
another
for a
one.
refill.
It was like everything. It was so good. And it was was like this crated. It was this limited supply because we could only get it at the fair. They had cheap refills.
They don't have lemonade anywhere else.
For the bucket of lemonade. It's like a bucket. It's this like huge Tupperware thing that they would use a hole puncher to drop a straw. And it was an obscene amount. And it was so
delicious.
I just wanted to keep drinking it because it was strawberries and lemon. Come on, I was being healthy.
Super healthy.
And I'm like, oh.
We did have to walk to get it. That was healthy. We didn't just camp out in front of them and then like raise our glass and make them come and refill it.
We could have set up our beach chairs and our umbrellas right there and be like, another
hanging
lemonade,
out at the lemonade
please.
stand all day. So the concept that I'm trying to articulate out in my thought process was how like everybody grasps a hold of how their body works when it comes to food or their diet or their physical health, right? And then unless you're really unless you're really open, then typically you think that's how everybody's body works. You're like, if it works for me this way, then it should work for you that way. And if you're not doing if you're not doing the thing that I'm doing, then no wonder it's not working, right?
That's one aspect. There's another one that like complements that in a very unhealthy way, is that you're trying to figure out what works for your body and you can't figure it out. And you're like, well, it works for them. It should work for me.
Right.
It's working for them. They're doing this. Why can't I do this? Why isn't my body doing this? Why isn't it working for me?
Right. And that changes over the course of your life. Mm-hmm. So there's certain phases of your life where what works for you with food, it's great and it works for you and you've got it figured out. And then 10 years later, that definitely does not work anymore.
Right.
Right. Because your body's changed.
And what's your concept of work? Are you looking at the way your body looks?
Right.
Or are you looking at the way your body feels? Because so much of what I thought worked was based off of how I looked.
Not necessarily
not how I felt. How I felt was secondary. It was how did I look?
Right. So that's the underlying thought process is we all consume and eat food in different ways depending upon our body and where we're at in life and all these kind of different things, and more about how your body works and feels and functions as opposed to what works for somebody else, right? And it changes and evolves. So then I thought, It's so funny. Sometimes I have these thoughts and I'm like, this is so deep and like significant. And I'm like, you've already, like, this is common sense. This is like, within the lexicon of regular, everyday, normal person. It's just obvious. Our emotions and our emotional body and our capacity to feel emotions is the same thing, where I will feel emotions differently throughout the course of my life. And that emotion will be felt a certain way 10 years ago, and it will be felt a different way today. And that shifts and changes. And not only that, but how I experience and feel an emotion is going to be very different than how you experience and feel an emotion. And I think you and I have both gotten hemmed up sometimes thinking that you're feeling an emotion the same way that I feel that emotion. And so then that way, if your behavior or actions look different than how I judge that emotion to be felt or experienced based off of my experience, then it's like, it's confusing and it's hard for me to kind of process, right? And then we find ourselves kind of getting stuck in some tension areas. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the thing I want to explore is, how do we define our emotions? How are those definitions different from each other? And then how is the experience of feeling and having and going through those emotions different from each other?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like trying to figure out, it's like the conclusions that you can make, the experiences that you have, or how you process and absorb information. So through your experiences and what things mean to you when you see that action, behavior, come out from somebody else, you correlate it to what it means for you. And instead of like, when you get to the work of realizing they have different experiences, they have different perceptions and interpretations and misinterpretations of things. So these actions can mean very different. Just like when you do something, like when sometimes somebody will have a surprise reaction to something that you have done, and you're like, where did that come from? Like, that's not what it was, but it's their experiences and perceptions and interpretations, how they are applying your actions and your feelings. So we go off of it. I'm trying my best here with my sugar brain. So our experiences are our reality, and though they determined how we perceive other people's feelings and actions, thinking that it is the same through our reality, knowing that we're in different lives, but still A to B next to C. And that's just the way it goes, instead of realizing that we're different alphabets.
Right.
It's not even A, B, C, or what order is the alphabet in. We all have our own alphabets.
Like, we've done this a little bit in regards to love, and we recognize how our programming and our definition of love, based off of all that early childhood stuff, and by stuff I mean trauma and shit and programming and all the things, has affected how we experience love, how we express love, and how we, even just the base definition of what love is. And we have a definition of what love is from society. You Google love, definition of love, and it's going to give you something.
Have you Googled the definition of love? Should we Google it
real quick?
Just make sure everybody's on the same page.
Doesn't mean everybody's on the same
page.
Right,
that's what I'm saying. That's my point. Because that's another thing that we had learned, that attention that we had, or something that we had brought our awareness to, or somebody brought to our awareness, is that you're speaking to somebody using the exact same words and you think you're on the same page, but turns out you guys have a different definition of what these words mean. And we're like, who, like that? We know what a mountain is. That's not.
Hold on, we're going to get the correct pronunciation first.
Okay. Well, I was still.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I totally interrupted you. Sorry.
It's okay. It was really important too. So no, I'm kidding. Thinking that of course, the other person has the same definition, but like, oh, this actually means this. And a lot of times you have to like really get quiet with these big things. Like, what does love actually mean to you?
Yes.
Not what do you say it means, but when you get still for a moment and you go in, what does love actually look like and mean to you? So when you're hearing that, Even though you have this perceived definition, your internal definition is what is driving it, which causes the differences. Okay, what's the pronunciation?
Let's make sure that we're all pronouncing it correctly. So we're
Sarah.
going to see what Google has to say as far as the pronunciation goes. Hold on. Turn up the volume. Yeah. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly.
Love.
Okay. So we got it. As far as I can tell.
So you wanted to make sure it was the right what?
Pronunciation. What did I say?
Pronunciation? Wait, hold on.
What are we doing here?
I got lost. I thought you said something funny, but now I can't get it back.
Like I misspoke the word pronunciate?
I think wait, you know what?
Pronounce? Are you getting pronounce and pronunciate?
I don't know because it sounded, I think we just move on. I thought it sounded funny and then I got lost and I couldn't get it back.
Hold on, we have to Google pronunciation.
Oh my God, we can't eat sugar ever again. It's worse than drugs. Like, are you
Hold on,
hungover?
are you ready for the
No.
definition?
Yes, I'm ready.
An intense feeling of deep affection.
Okay.
Babies fill parents with feelings of love. A great interest and pleasure in something. Okay. So that's the societal. I don't want to go into love too much. It's just the example that we have different definitions of it.
Yes.
And then we have different experiences of feeling it as well as expressing it.
Yes.
So let's explore some other emotions.
Okay.
Like sadness.
Okay.
What does sadness feel like for you?
What does sadness feel like?
Yeah.
Well, my smart ass says sad.
Right.
Feel sad. That's it. That's my definition. I feel sad.
What would be like
what
the
you-
societal definition of sad?
Down. Melancholy. Disappointed. Hurt.
Right.
Not finding the joy in your everyday life.
A feeling
I'm
of
trying to like how is society?
despair or not joyful feelings.
Right?
Maybe we should have this episode when we don't have sugar in our system.
I can't believe how like tarded we. Oh Jesus!
You can
Sugar
say tarded.
caveat. Sugar caveat.
So we all have a definition of what sad or sadness is. But what is that?
I don't
know if I'm going to be able to flesh this all out because
I think this is too new. Or not even new, but
that's the whole idea is it feels differently.
yeah.
How I experience and feel sad is going to feel differently than how you feel and experience sad.
Yeah.
And I will sit over here and be like, why aren't you like, I will judge the way that you're going through something. I will judge the way that you're feeling something. And there's a part of my brain that is very, conscious and aware and like this higher self part of me that recognizes that you're having your own experience. And I can stay in that place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not always in that place. And I have this other part of me that's like, why aren't you feeling this way? Or I'm trying to help you feel better, given my understanding of what the experience is.
It's weird. It's so even that is like a contradiction. It's like there's sadness. I've only recently, I guess, been able to like really sit in sadness and allow it and allow the feeling and have my cries. And sadness was something to avoid, get out of. I did not want to sit in, did not want to be a part of. I would anger my way out of it. Sadness was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like to say I'm sad. I would rather say I'm mad. Right? Get out of the sadness. I didn't want to sit in sadness. And you would like the sad movies and the sad stuff, you would just like go into it. And so there's that little bit of a difference there, okay? Also, you get very mad as well with sad. And it's like you don't want people around, don't want anybody to make you feel better. And then if somebody else is sad, the trying to make feel better, I don't know. It's just like so Like we both want to make each other feel better when we're sad, or we're doing good about letting the other person just be sad now. We'll sit with each other, but we're not like, hey, let me cheer you up. Usually. Shit, I lost my train of thought. I'm reading your face. I'm watching you like processing, and I'm like, ah!
Is this safe?
Damn it. This is too hard today.
Maybe I don't get, because I was thinking about sadness, and like you talk about like you're getting better at crying and feeling the sadness and expressing it and things like that.
Like sitting in it, being
And
willing to.
I will judge myself if I'm not, like lately I have been watching you like shed and go through your emotions and releasing those emotions and having the physical release at times, as well as kind of like that purging of tears or just shedding of said emotion blockage or whatever from inside of you, right? And then I'm judging myself and I'm like, why don't I do it that way? Why am I not crying more? I need to cry more. I need to express myself more through my tears. And it's like, maybe I don't. Maybe that's not a way that I'm expressive of said emotions or sadness or something like that. You know what I mean? And you're like, bullshit. What are you thinking?
No, you're just like, keep going. I got to ramble for a little bit. Now you get to ramble. It's really uncomfortable. I know. Try and ramble your sugar brain through this. Sugar. I got a sugar moon brain over here. So I'm just like, good luck. We're getting through this.
But it's, this concept came to me this morning, and obviously it should have sat with me longer before we tried to talk about it.
It was not ready to
podcast.
present it to the world.
But it's understanding how, like truthfully understanding how I feel emotion.
Yeah.
And I don't think I really have a good understanding of that.
It's huge awareness.
I don't have a good understanding of how, if I'm sad, how does that actually feel inside my body? If I'm joyful, how does that actually feel inside my body?
It is not a one size fits all.
And what affects that? Because it's depending upon external sources as well as internally what I'm going through. All of those emotions will be felt differently at different times in a different myriad of ways. Just like there's some days that, you know, I can have a cookie and I'm fine, and then other days where it wipes me out for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like trying to really hone in on my emotional experience as well as understanding how that emotional experience I guess it's understanding how I can communicate that to you so that it in turn is easier for you to understand my emotional experience.
How are you going to communicate something that you don't understand yet?
Well, that's the process, right? That's the work.
Yeah, I think the work is to really, like personally, is to just like the awareness of, I don't understand what this means in my body. I don't understand what this really feels like. I don't have awareness of what these emotions actually feel like for me, what they actually mean to me. I have societal and programming of what they should look like or what they shouldn't look like, or however you're going to label that. But maybe this part isn't about, you don't have to find the words for me, you have to find them for you. Like getting really curious, taking the labels off without, I'm supposed to feel like this. When you have what come up, just letting it be and like watching it and trying to see it without trying to fix it, without trying to explain it, without just like get curious about it.
So am I being too analytical? Am I trying to define these things too much?
That's how feelings are definitely better processed and understood, is analytically. That was a joke. I was being funny.
But
Yeah, you're definitely analytical about it. You're in your head. You're trying to, but that's, you know, I do that too. I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like figure it out. If I can figure it out, if I can understand it, if I can just really get a good intellect, wrap my brain around it. You know, it's not your brain. You got to wrap around it.
What do we have to wrap around it?
I think it's, I'm going to sit here and be like, well, look at the color of shirts we're wearing today. How interesting that we picked the heart chakra colors for our shirts.
Did we?
Yeah, you got green, I got pink.
Open up our hearts.
You got to wrap your heart around it.
I think you're right. I think I might be a little too much in my head trying to think about my emotions rather than just feeling them.
And you're putting it on me. Like, how do I communicate it to you so you understand?
That's so important to me, though. Like, it's so important to me that I am able to. I feel like I have had, over the course of our relationship, I feel like I have done a really poor job of communicating and expressing myself in a healthy way. And it's led to a lot of difficulty and a lot of hardship in our relationship. And so it's important to me now to try to express myself in a healthier way, in a clearer way, and just in a better way that it doesn't lead to health or lead to unhealthy things or just pain. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of where this stems from, is I want to be able to communicate better. And I also want to be able to understand you better. Like, there's some times where I have no fucking idea what you're feeling. And I'm like, you're having some sort of experience, and I'm trying to gather information from the last 5 minutes or maybe the last half of our day, or even, what's been going on this week. And I'm like, I can't put together the pieces of what information I'm taking in order to kind of understand where you're at. And then how do I show up for you? How do I be with you? How do I best not serve you, but how do I best be with you in this experience when I don't understand what experience you're having? Now I understand that I can just be with you regardless of the experience, right? Mm-hmm. But that also doesn't feel safe. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
You're going to say something.
I am going to say something.
I guess that's how podcasts work. Conversation.
I think you just, like this conversation has so many different meanings, right? Like, yes, we want to get in touch with our feeling. We understand what we're feeling, understand the way that we are processing and feeling and healing through all this, understand what makes us really allow our true feelings and our true selves to be felt as well as understood. And because we are in this amazing relationship, the other person is incredibly important and valuable and to us. So we want to understand them and help support them and just be like a solid partner with them, show up for them and show up for our relationship and then show up for ourselves. All of these amazing, wonderful things. The reason we should absolutely keep deep diving in here for ourselves and for our relationship with each other, for our, like, how we present ourselves in the world. So many reasons this is so important. And you were talking about trying to figure out what I'm feeling, analyzing what has happened, gathering information so you can come to the conclusion of what is happening, assessing the situation for its safety, assessing what is happening. Is it a dangerous situation for you? Is there a threat? And then how do you show up in that situation? How are you of service? You even said service. How are you providing? What do you have to give to be valuable in that space? What do you have to give to where do you find your worth in that space to continue creating your safety in that space? And then even just allowing it to be without doing all of that doesn't feel safe. So all of these come back to, how do you feel safe in an environment that you can't control? Because you can't control anybody else. Yeah. This comes back to, I think if you want to
bring it all home. Bring it. I understand completely. And I mean, we talked about it a while back, where it's like, it's all about me, right? It's all about you. Like, yes, I'm trying to show up for you. And that's very much the case. That's very much a genuine thing. Mm-hmm. And it's also, how do I understand what's happening so that I feel safe in this experience?
Regardless of it. Like, this is about, how do you feel safe in this experience? It doesn't really, like, to sound, It's not really a matter of what's happening outside. It's an aware assessment of, am I safe? How do I be safe in this space? How do I keep my safety in this space? What is wrong? Is it me? Yes or no? Safe. Is there something I can do? Yes or no? Action. Is it something that I have done? Is it something that I should fix? It's all of these. The only phrase that I have in my head that I'm trying really hard not to say, it's all of these trauma responses to the environment and how to, like, old patterns and recognitions of your surroundings on how to be safe in a non-threatening environment. Unless, of course, it is threatening. If it is threatening, then, that's a whole other conversation.
I see what you're saying, for sure. And especially the how to feel safe in an environment that isn't safe. But I feel...
Or is safe. Like, how do you... Like, what's happening inside you? Because you can't feel safe in an environment that isn't safe.
Yeah.
But when you're in an environment that is safe, but your perceptions are still in, is this safe, and analyzing the safe, the trauma responses that comes back to, I'm just caring about you. And it's really nothing to do with the other person. That's a projection and putting all of that on the other person when it is really about you.
It's both.
Okay. Yeah, because there's like, I said that first, my whole like big spill of loving the other person and wanting to show up there. I wasn't disregarding that. Just like,
yeah, it's both. I want to show up for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's when we used to exist and live in not safe environments, but now we do live in a safe environment, right? And how do we understand what our nervous system is going through so that it can just exist in this safe environment? Like, you and I both have had awareness lately of how much we'll just continually create chaos.
Right.
Like, that's something that all of these things are always like continually, it's not something new. It's not some new concept or idea that we're like, oh my God, I've never heard that before. We've heard that shit for years.
Just hear it differently through different stages.
Yeah. It's like we hear it with different ears. Like new things in our ears are clicked and we're like, oh, and then we see it and we're like, oh, definitely creating chaos.
Right.
In this experience, right?
My favorite line as of late is that meme that goes around. It's like, is it me? I keep losing my voice. Is it me? Am I the drama? Like, I feel like that is like such so applicable constantly. Like, is it me? It's me. Oh my God, I'm the drama.
Right? And I am.
Right?
And my favorite thing lately too is like, not only will I create it, but if I somehow can't, like if I'm by myself, or if I can't externally create it, then I will just internally create it with my thoughts.
Right? He goes like, I got this.
Where it's like,
earthquakes, fire.
Yeah, I do it externally the majority of the time, obviously. I'll just start looking and creating stuff that... Do you need water? You got water?
No, I'm looking for a blue stone. I don't have it. I'm going to take this one for a little bit.
Do it.
My throat is just like, we are done talking about this.
Take the lapis.
It's not really. Yeah,
That's lapis.
It's lapis. I thought it was soda light.
Oh, that's lapis.
I see that now. Thank you.
Anyways.
I wonder if it's the myrrh.
It is. Yeah, when we burn incense.
Throat chakra's off the hook. I'm not having a hard time with emotions or truth. It wasn't me. I'm not the drama. It's the incense. Lapis down. I will sit over here on my horse now.
Not the drama.
I'm not the drama. It's the incense. Not this time. Podcast over. Let's go.
So again, thank you for helping me see that I'm just thinking about things too much and analyzing them too much in order to make them safe.
Yeah.
Because even my own thoughts don't feel safe. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what am I feeling today? I don't know. What am I feeling? And then I'll sit and overanalyze it and try to pick it apart rather than just kind of experience it. I journaled the other day about how I wait for these moments to, like, I'm in a moment and I'm in an experience, and that moment will end and the next moment will begin. And that just happens no matter what I do. Like, it doesn't matter at all what I do. That doesn't mean that what I do doesn't matter. It means that I have zero ability and or influence over my experience of life from moment to moment to moment to moment. No matter what I say or do in this moment right now, over the course of however long, in the next 20, 30 minutes of this podcast, it will not change the fact that another moment is coming. And this moment will end. So it's like, I want to hold on to good experiences as long as I possibly can. And no matter how hard I try, that moment will end.
Yeah.
And the next moment might be a better experience, or it might be the same, or it might be worse, or it might be something from the 77th dimension that I'm not even aware of. But that idea that we can control our experiences, or that we can, I don't even know, it was just awareness of there was nothing that I could do about moving from moment to moment. That was something that was going to happen no matter what. Even if I did nothing, another moment was going to happen.
Right.
Something else was going to come. Right? Life isn't this stagnant thing of just one experience. It's an over and over and over and over and over thing of moment to moment to moment to moment. And we can't change that, even though we want to sometimes. Even though we try to, I think. I know I do.
Yeah.
I try to change the next moment instead of just realizing that there's nothing I can do about it. So then how do I feel in this moment? And how do I be in this moment?
Right.
And how do I just allow this moment to exist without any pushing or pulling, right? And it's clear as day to me. That concept and idea that I just got done rambling about makes total sense, and it's clear as day to me.
Yeah.
And I'll forget it in the next moment.
Right.
And start trying to control it. And then the moment after that, I'll be like, damn it, you tried to control that moment. Just relax and be here in this moment. I'm like, okay, just relax. How many times do you tell yourself, just relax?
I don't ever tell myself, just relax.
What do you say?
First of all, I don't say that word relax. That's a trigger word for me.
Do you say
I don't.
speed
So
up?
you're sitting there, you're like, relax. I'm like, say relax again. Say relax again.
I'm saying it to myself. It was inside my own head.
I'm trying to go all the thoughts where I'm at. I can only grab what has been my current, where I'm at now. And it ties in perfectly. I keep reminding myself, and I've heard it a million times. It's such a thing. It's the Ram Dass be here now. Be in the present. If you're 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, then you're pissing all over today. Those things. Have you not heard that one?
I like it.
Okay. So all of these things, I'm like, yeah. Be present, be present, be present. And it's just never, I can't ever be present, right? It's always that chaos, that what's going to happen, what already happened, what didn't even happen, but what series of events am I creating in my head that I'm reacting differently to, trying to find my, my strength and how, or replaying a situation and seeing all of the crazy things where your brain is just looking out for you in a really terrible, not helpful at all. Can you just knock it off way, But recently it's just hit differently. That be here now. It's hit, realizing I've taken these moments and what is really happening right now? Right now, what is really happening?
We're having a conversation.
It's we're sitting in our, you've said this before, even on this podcast, we're sitting up here and we're in our house. We're recording a podcast. You and I are hanging out, talking to each other, recording a podcast, doing what we love. That is what is happening. You and I are connecting. We're talking about our feelings and our emotions and what's going on in our head and how we can better connect with each other. And then if, whoever's listening is resonating, then they're getting tips on how to connect. Or maybe this episode, they're like, man, sugar really does make your brain a little slow. Who knows? All of these things. But we are right now, I even in this moment, I spanned out and then had to bring it back down. In this moment, you and I are having a conversation. That is it. You and I are sitting here. I like being in this moment with you. And that has been something that I have been practicing. So it's not the relax. I've been ram-dossing this. Be here now. Because these moments are actually, most of them are really good. But all the shit that's in my head, all the things that I'm worrying about, all the have-tos, all of that is anxiety and chaos and stress. So when I can slow down and just like, whew. Yesterday I was like, I am taking a shower. I am in my shower in my house in this warm water and my conditioner smells good. You know, I was just like trying to really slow down and be here. In bed with you was like my hand was on your shoulder and I'm like, oh, we're here next to each other. Just really trying to like solidify the moment and what is actually happening, the reality, as opposed to all of the things your brain is trying to perceive and predict. I feel like I lost it.
You didn't lose me.
This is like, it's such a concept. Everybody says it, but I haven't been able to grasp it until recently.
Till recently you started to experience
like,
it.
Oh, be here now.
How does it feel?
It's really, when I drop into it, it is so calming and it's really cool. And I'm not completely in it right now. So as I, like my ego shouts, I'm unprepared and everything's going to sneak up on you. I'm like, it's not. So it's like this work of like feeling if I'm not overanalyzing, if I'm not predicting, if I'm not perceiving, if I'm not ready to take on all of these things, I'm unprepared and I'm vulnerable. Like actually, no, I'm okay to sit here and have a conversation with you. Like all of these, And if it does happen, you know, if what happens, you just handle it there because chances are everything that you're visualizing is not the intensity of the moment.
I wish.
I don't know.
No, there's nothing to not know. You did great expressing yourself. I had a thought.
Yeah.
Finally. Because I agree, right? It's be here now. It's being present in the moment. And I thought about how challenging and how difficult that is.
Mm-hmm.
And the game of like judging yourself for not being present or being in the moment, and then trying to be present and be in the moment, and then immediately being in some other moment or some other place. And our thoughts just continually running around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about what if that is, so there's a perception that the goal should be mindfulness and presence, and separating from this idea that our brain and, you know, just allowing those thoughts to occur and take place kind of over there where we're over here. And then I was thinking about how natural I think it is for our thoughts to be everywhere, where we'll be running around, you know, we'll be here physically doing something and then our thoughts will be somewhere else doing something else.
All the time.
And how natural that is.
Mm-hmm.
And how that is something that just happens. It's not something that we were taught to do. I don't think that was something that was instilled in us.
Yeah.
I think that was something that just naturally happened, where we could be doing two things at once. We could be doing something physically with our physical body, being here in the present moment, and our brains would be doing something else, thinking about something else, being somewhere else. And it just continues to expand, right? Where we're not just in two places. Suddenly we're thinking about 14 different places while we're sitting here having this conversation. You're doing it right now while you're listening to me.
I have to keep bringing it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that idea that I have to keep bringing it back to hear and to be present in order to hear these words and carry on this conversation, that there's something wrong with you if you are out in all of these other places and you're not really paying attention and being right here in this present moment. Like, pay attention. School teaches us to sit there and pay attention.
Yeah.
But what if we embraced the concept and idea that being in all of those other places with our thoughts and how that happens naturally, it's not something that we have to practice being here and now.
Yeah.
We don't have to practice being all the places.
Yeah.
What if that's because that's the reminder, that's the reality, that's the awareness that we are everything.
Yeah.
And that we are in all the places at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, baby. I don't think you gave my thought as much profoundness as I was, as it resonated within me.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Fucking idiot.
No, like, like that is the thing. We're all connected, right? I see
Hold on,
that.
though,
Okay.
like,
Well, you just asked. Okay.
Right. You see that, but like really sit with it. That maybe the idea is because we're so resistant to that idea of allowing our thoughts to be all over the place. And that's like denying the fact that you are everywhere.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay.
How does that feel? It feels uncomfortable.
That feels I don't know. I get it has its place. It has its place. Like I hear that connection. We are everywhere at once. Like we are all connected. We are all things. We all are all places.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it, you know, this is like, I guess how you were touching on like teachers, like pay attention. Like this is the discernment of where I want to be. You know, when somebody's telling you, pay attention, you must do this, you must do this. That isn't a choice. That's like a placement. That's not, you know, that's conformity. And I'm not agreeing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to be present it's not just something that wasn't just a concept I didn't get, which it was, you know, I didn't get the concept, but I didn't have the tools to even begin. So it's not that I just had to be present. It's not that, I'm just choosing it now. It's I had to do massive amount of work. I uncovering trauma and healing and years of looking at the shadow and looking at all of the shit, like all of the ways that my trauma responses, I had to perceive everything around me. I had to perceive outcomes because of chaotic situations and being out of that. And then the healing and looking at the programs that were instilled, and have struggled with the fact that I don't have a good memory because the trauma brain is always taking over. I'm never really in the moment. I'm always so many other places. And so I have like connection to objects because memories lie in objects with me. And so I will forget. I don't have this memory. I just can't grab it. And then I see something and it's like, oh, and then I get to have that memory. And I put that object down and I turn over here and it's gone. So it's hard for me to like lose memories. And there's memories that I don't want, but there's memories I do. And so it's like being where I am, being in the moment is a gift because it's something that I never had. So I see all the places and to be everywhere and the beauty of that, but also there's beauty in not having to be all the places and just to be here and to actually like allow memories to be created and formed. So I'm just seeing it just a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like it's bringing up some emotion for you.
It did. I was trying to like not start crying because I'm like, I'm not going to get lost in that right now, but it's right there.
Yeah.
If I like right now, I know where I'm at. Like we're coming to the conclusion of the episode and these floodgates are going to open. But I'm not ready for them to on the podcast, right? I'm gonna go take care of myself after because there is a lot of emotion that is ready to come spilling out of me.
A lot of emotion. So you don't want to do a big 2-part episode?
Sure. Stay tuned. Next one, we've got snot and tears the whole episode.
So to recap, I think about emotions too much instead of just feel them. I also realized right here at the end when I'm like, what if we're supposed to be in all these places at the same time? Because that's the reality of it. I realized that there's a part of my like subconscious ego that will continually take something that is supposed to make me feel better and spin it in a way to justify the way that I do things. So it's like, because being mindful and being present and being here now always makes me feel better. Like yesterday when we got home, we went out and played in the rain, right? And I wasn't really thinking about much other than just how the rain felt on my body, and like I was enjoying the dirt and all this kind of different things. We came home from our festival of sugar, and it was raining, but it was like the perfect warm summer day rain, and the ground was really wet because it had been raining for a while. So we went around our backyard and pulled weeds and got our hands dirty, and it just felt really, really good.
It was amazing.
And I wasn't thinking about a bunch of other things. I was just kind of feeling everything in the moment.
Yeah.
So I know that feels good for me. I know that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then my ego will be like, yeah, but you're supposed to be everywhere.
It's the avoidant kicking in. We don't have to feel. We don't have to sit here. Go,
right?
go.
And so I'll spin everything. I have such a defiant, avoidant part of me that will take healthy behaviors and critique them and criticize them and judge them and break them down so that it continually will justify the things that have kept me unhealthy, I suppose. Do you know what I mean?
That's some good awareness.
Yeah. I do that so many times. And I'm becoming more and more and more aware of it, where it's like, I'll take a concept, an idea. I'm reading all these books lately. Like I read or listened to, more apt, the attachment style book. And I'm listening to all of it. And there's a part of me that's like, yes, this is all wonderful stuff. And then there's another part of me that's like, this guy's a fucking idiot. All of this stuff is pointless. I can't stand this guy's voice. Why are you even listening to this guy? You know all of these things already. This isn't applicable to you because this isn't applicable. You know what I mean? I'll just dissect and pick it all apart so that eventually I'm just like, whatever, attachment style. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm not avoidant, but you are all these things. I'm fine over here.
Yeah. So recap, just feel your emotions. Stop thinking about them.
You're having some good awarenesses.
Right?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody, go to energyislove.love. Just go there. Do all the things. Click on all the things. Sign up for all the things. We are in the process right now of doing work behind the scenes. If you could see behind the camera, there's people working. We have elves that we've enslaved to do things for us.
No.
Baby, I don't think
sugar brain. That sugar brain. Just sugar brain.
But we're working behind the scenes to create content and all sorts of different things that we're going to be sharing with you in the not too distant future. So stay tuned and enjoy this episode. What am I doing? The intro for this now?
I think so. I think that was panic. That was oops.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.